Today's episode of Howdy Fort Bend is sponsored by Sugarland's premier fence provider, Fort Harris Fence Company. As a family-owned business, we take pride in delivering top-notch service and craftsmanship right here in our hometown. Whether it's for added privacy, security, or curb appeal, call or text 832-308-8277 for your free quote today.
Well, howdy Fort Bend. William Person coming to you today from a extremely special place. Those of you that live here in Fort Bend County, you may most likely live in Lamar Consolidated School District area. And I've got a super special guest. I'm actually in his home today. We are in his building today. This is the wonderful, the super Dr. Nivens with Lamar. And thank you for having us here today.
Yes, sir. You're welcome. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to be here. So, one, my wife has been a teacher in your school district for 24 years.
Yes, sir.
This is the first year she's not teaching at Lamar. First year.
She's having withdrawal syndrome already?
A little bit.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have to do homework every night.
Yeah,
she doesn't have to grade every night. Yeah. She doesn't have to do all those things teachers do every day. So anyhow, I just wanted to tell you, thank you. We've been in Lamar forever. I feel like I've been here in 33 years or so. So we've been a part of Lamar forever. And I, like many, look at what it costs to live in Fort Bend and look at what decisions are made, sometimes good, sometimes bad, throughout the county. And I see that there's a bond election coming up on November 4th.
Yes, sir.
I even brought one of your signs in from outside.
You did.
That way, if people have any questions, they can go to it.
And they can scan the QR code right there.
Scan it, and we'll also post it on this podcast.
Okay.
And so what happened, I don't know if you remember, Dr. Nivens, a couple weeks ago, I did a post that simply said, I'm not in on $2 billion in debt. And by the way, I thought it was funny that it was $1.99 billion. And I'm like, come on.
1.985.
There you go. You know, couldn't we go get like a Big Mac and just make it $2 billion? I'm joking. But I want to have fun here today because there's a lot of people that saw my little post. It was like a 2-sentence post. And it's been an incredible conversation because, look, it's either about it's too expensive or it's about, is it enough? Do we need to do something different? Do we need to do something better? And then to have access to you like everyone does in the district, I've learned about you. This is a great honor to be able to sit here and talk to you literally about this bond. And so just don't pull any punches. I'm going to be the ignorant guy in the room, and you're going to walk me through it. I've made all these notes for you. I brought in some of your printed material or the school district's printed material. And I think you wanted to say something to get started here.
I do. So I have to give a disclaimer because Right now, I'm here as superintendent.
Right.
And so, state law says while I'm basically in my position, in my role, I cannot advocate for or against the bond while I'm in my role. And so as we're talking, I may take a little time to process and filter my words, to make sure I don't violate any laws because, we don't do that.
Well, I was under that for 5 years and thankfully at the moment I'm not under that. So I get to not have to think that deeply. So what I'm hoping that the viewer takes away today is either the necessity of this bond or maybe we need to do something different. That's what I'm hoping. And I'm not asking you to support or reject the bonds. People want to have questions. So I put together some questions. But back in 2022, the voters in LCISD approved $1.7 billion in investment to the school district. Okay. And before we get to the new stuff, how's that coming along? Have we spent the 1.7? Has it done what we were hoping? Are we halfway through it? Where are we at on the 1.7?
Right. So the total package is 1.7. Only 1.5 was approved.
That's right.
So 200 million of that was for a new stadium. And
here.
Yes. Well, it's for a new stadium, for a second stadium.
Okay.
And it failed.
Yeah. For whatever reason.
And it failed. So the 1.5 is what we received for technology, infrastructure, for campuses, facilities and things like that. All those projects are underway. And so, we're on a 2 or 3 year bond cycle.
Right.
Because we're adding 2,000 students a year. We're a hyper-growth school system. And, I tell my staff all the time, people don't bring their kids to a school system that's failing kids. Right. You're intentional about where you move.
Sure.
And when you're adding 2,000 students a year, that means we're doing something right. That means our teachers are doing a great job.
Well, I like that. And by the way, without even knowing how many students are in the school, you just drive down any road around here and you realize the growth is
That's right.
Out of control.
Any open land, you see utilities coming out the ground, and
just a matter of time.
That's right.
So your current tax rate or our current tax rate in LCIC is 1.1469 per $100 valuation.
Yes.
It's my understanding this bond will not affect that in this tax rate cycle. Is that correct?
That's correct. So our tax rate remains low as it was last year.
That's it. And as because of my understanding with my background as well, as I understand the Fort Bend CAD, they have made published statements in the Katy area that the home valuations are actually either going to hold flat or maybe drop in some areas, which is kind of throwing real estate back on its heels a little bit. I'm in real estate as well. And so everybody's kind of like, what's going on? So these tax rates are affected by more than just projects. They're affected by outside of what I would say your decision making. They're affected beyond that by CAD and Austin and everything. So I just want everybody to understand where that comes from, because most people don't understand how you even would ever adjust 1.1449. They don't get it.
Right. But when we look at our amortization schedule,
yes,
our 48-cent INS tax rate is enough to pay down our debt continuously.
Correct.
So,
and I have those numbers somewhere. You probably have them in your head. I have them somewhere to support that. Now, so as I look up and I'm like, wow, they want another $2 billion, 1.985. Look at that. I got it. 1.985. They want 1.985. I'll look at the projects. 1.9 of that is for new schools, facility improvements, and things like that.
Yes, sir.
And in this stadium one, this is Proposition B, is $26.7 million for the stadium right down the road.
Yes,
right? But it's my understanding from parents that go there, it's really not a safe place in total for them to be. So this seems like it makes perfect sense if we're going to keep having activities there. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you're not saying in support or deny. You're just that it's a repair.
The fact is that the foundation is poor.
Oh.
And there are sections of the stadium that are blocked off with tape. I call it police tape, but it could be caution tape, whatever you want to call it. But the foundation is poor, and so we have decided to block off that section to make sure that everyone is safe.
How old is that stadium?
The stadium was built in the 60s. And so if we were in 1960, it'll be up to code.
They would put tape around me also. I was built in the 60s. I got you there. So as I look at these technology improvements as well, Proposition C, and I'll get to D in a minute, but Proposition C, the technology equipment refresh, as I look at that, I think of where are we at as a school district? Are we an A? Because I understand now we're a B rated according to TEA, correct me if I'm wrong.
That's correct. We're 88.
And you only have one school, correct me if I'm wrong, that went from A to D?
That's correct.
So we had one school that, whatever, I've not dug into that. Will items like Proposition C, forget about A for a minute, but these technology refreshments, things like that, will that help get us back to A or just bring us all to B?
Yes, but that's a good point. Lamar CISD has been an A in the past.
Yes.
And then our accountability system changed. And so then we dropped to an 85 and now we're 88. This is the second year under our new accountability system. And so out of school districts that are 25,000 students or more, Lamar CISD is ranked number 5 in the state. Actually, we're tied with Katy. And so Katy is also an 88. So when I talk about technology, I look at it as the teacher is the resource in the classroom. The teacher's the main resource.
Sure.
Right. I would say teacher is the source.
Yes.
And then the teacher uses resources.
Right.
And so we're in 2025. And so AI is here. Of course, technology has been here forever. And so I would consider educational malpractice if we did not teach our young people how to use technology responsibly.
Wow.
Right. They have to go out into the world. They have to compete globally. And they have to make sure that they are my goal is when students graduate from us, they are young, positive, productive citizens. Sure. Right. And people heard me say this. My grandma used to tell us people that can't make a living will take a living. And so how do we help students when they graduate from us be able to go out and make a living? And so technology will help us with that. That's not the magic bullet. That's not the golden key, but it will help our teachers make sure that they have access to equipment and give our students experiences.
And if I may add to that, I recently had the opportunity to meet the superintendent of HISD, straight out of Austin. And I got to tell you, he said something very similar to what you did. He said for the first time in HISD's recent history, we do not have a single child going to school, going to a failing school. And that hope alone will help them succeed. But you're sitting here saying, hey, we're not failing. We're at least a minimum B.5, if I may call it a plus, B plus, right? We're at a B plus. All we're trying to do is make sure the young people, all the students, have the technology they need to advance.
That's right.
Where HISD is literally coming out of failing schools. Now they have none. And I think that's pretty spectacular. I think everyone in education should celebrate because they're all graded under TEA.
Right.
And so they should be celebrating the growth of these children. A sad fact, just because I don't know the number in Lamar, and I'm going to assume it's not as bad as it is at HISD. The superintendent made an interesting comment. He said that this is awful, nearly 40% of the graduating students from HISD will not make a living wage.
Oh.
And when you think about that number, you're passing children that cannot even make a living wage. And you talk about a bad first step.
Yeah.
That's a bad first step. But what I'm seeing here is I've gone through this. And by the way, most people that don't get an opportunity to interview you or any leader in the community, I'm going to guess I have about 30 pages of information I have been digging through to make sure I could ask you a question that made sense.
Sure.
Let me tell you, it's overwhelming what I've learned about the school district, even though my wife worked it 24 years. So, and by the way, Proposition C is a $44 million technology refresh. Desktops, iPads, monitors, blah, 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 bunch of graphics art, a bunch of stuff that's going to help these kids advance at 44 million. Proposition D is an estimated 10.6 million. Now, this is the one I had an interesting conversation about because I'm learning that technology, devices of any kind, iPhones, for example, it's like every day, every year they're switching out. Hey, we were on a 14 last year, we're on a 17 this year, whatever. So it's almost like these Proposition D type items. How do you even keep up with technology changes, with AI introduction, with, I'm not picking on teachers because I got one in my house. Yeah, I got to be careful. I got one in my house. But at what point do you say I can't keep up with this technology? It's moving too fast. Or do you just say, look, we're going to do what we can right now. And that's what Proposition D is an example of.
Yeah. That's a good question. I would tell you, it's not in our DNA to say that we can't keep up.
Yeah, wow.
Because we have 49,000 kids depending on us.
Yeah.
And, I always say, students and children will always do what you need them to do as long as you give them the right setting, you're consistent, right? It's always the adults. We get set in our ways.
Yeah.
And so what we have to do is say our children need us to make sure we do everything possible to set them up for success.
Nice.
And so, I've said this out loud, I'm an old offensive lineman. And what I did, what I did for a living was I moved things out the way. Right? It's the same thing. You have to move barriers out the way because we have too many people and too many students depending on us to make sure when they leave us, they can go out and be successful.
Wow.
And so we move it out the way. And so there is nothing that's too great, too grand or anything like that. With the technology piece, first with Proposition C, the technology refresh. So we have about 20 people that's managing 70,000 devices. Right. And so, when a student's laptop goes out or the battery drains, we have to call tech services to come and support that. And so this just helps us make sure we have the latest and greatest technology that is dependable.
Sure.
Right. So when a student goes and gets it out of the laptop cart, it turns on, it boots up, it does what they need to do because we have to remove barriers. Right. Parents send their kids up. I mean, you have children.
Sure.
And I tell people I never understood love until I had that girl of mine. Right? She's my first kid, but that girl of mine, I'm telling you what, if she called me right now, I would say, good, nice talking to you, sir. I gotta go. And so every parent believes that about their child.
Yeah.
And so when their children come to Lamar Consolidated ISD, they get the last name Nivens temporarily.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're going to feed them, we're going to take care of them and make sure they have what they need.
I like that.
Yeah.
And by the way, all the events that I've been to where you come walking in the room, whether I was an auctioneer for you or whatever was going on, you have always been true to who you are.
Yes, sir. That's what my daddy taught me.
They've never had a chance to meet you. Mm-hmm. But I just want them to know I've never seen a different you.
Thanks.
You're always consistent. Now, let's jump into A.
Okay.
I think this is the elephant in the room.
That's the coup de grace.
The $1.9 billion. Now, I'm going to just run through it in case people don't have this. Land development, and people will understand once why you even need land development. But you're about to add 7 new elementary schools, high school, blah, blah, blah. This thing goes on in portable buildings. This has everything built into it. I love as a police officer, 33 years here in Fort Bend County. Mm-hmm. I love that safety is one of your top items.
Safety is our top item. Safety is our top priority.
So I just went through, it's nothing that you would have to attend, but in law enforcement statewide, we just finished a cycle of education. And part of that training changed the mentality, the approach of law enforcement to school shootings. Mm-hmm. And what it had been was you got to make sure the first responders are safe and secure, right? Sure. Because then they can't help anyone if they're not. Sure. But the new theory is the one that helps our heartbeat, and that is this. You get in at all costs and you stop the pain. You stop the killing. And so when I see safety as a top piece, you're right in line with the heartbeat of all of us. It took 77 minutes for the police officers to get in the school shooting. And so many lives are lost because, to be candid with you, the back door was unlocked when the young man went in there. So safety is your big piece. Thanks for making that a high priority. Yes,
sir. We have a lot of systems in place. But, my chief of police, Chief Garcia, he's not the guy you want to mess with if you have bad intentions.
Even though you can push him over?
He's not the guy you want to mess with if you have bad intentions. He's the perfect guy for the job. He has the great mindset, and he wants to make sure all of our students and staff are taken care of.
So as I look at $1.9 billion, it's obvious this is a lot. These are a lot of buildings and assets being added to this school district. Will school choice in 2026 affect the need for A, B, C, or D, any of it?
Well, it'll have some effect. It won't affect us like people may think.
Right.
It'll have a very minimal effect. One is because we are a high-performing school system, right? And we're adding 2,000 students a year.
Right.
And, this is going to be the school of choice.
Sure.
Even though, vouchers are coming along and parents can take advantage of that. But when you talk about taking care of your child,
sure,
right? Lamar ISD is a school of choice. And so I'm not worried about that.
Nice.
I'm not worried about school choice at all.
Nice.
I mean, look at the teachers that we have, look at the kids that we have, the administrators. I have a dynamic team. They just allow me to tell the story.
Right.
But my team is phenomenal.
You say so many. You must practice this when you're out of the room, because you are like this. No, you are good.
No,
that's good.
Well, you said I'm staying true to myself.
Yeah.
This is what I believe.
I believe it.
I was a teacher. I was a teacher a long time, an administrator, and I know how hard it is. I know how hard they work. I know lesson plans and grading and taking kids home and feeding them and all those things, and being a surrogate. Being that absentee dad, right, for my kids. And so I just know what that means, and I always want to praise our teachers.
So what happens if none of this passes? We just keep doing the best we can, right? Mm-hmm. What if none of this passes for LCISD?
Then we're still going to be an elite school system. It'll be a little bit harder.
Yeah, it'll just be harder. We won't have the technology, won't have the buildings. I don't get the stadium one. That just seems like a no-brainer, because if you're going to have activities there, it needs to be safe, period.
Yeah. No, we're going to still make it happen for kids. It'll just be a little bit harder. But, we'll have students in temporary buildings. Our campuses will be a little bit larger. And so, Forster is the fastest growing city in America. And so we opened Val Arando there last year, elementary. We were projected to have about, 450 to 500 students. It opened with about 800 students.
Wow.
And so we had to immediately move portables. That's why you see portables in here. Yes. We had to move portable buildings over there to account for all the new students. And so again, we're adding 2,000 students a year.
And by the way, I don't know how you feel. I'm not a big fan of portables, only because the student feels like they're the and this is my perception. They're the outcast. They need to sit outside while everybody else is in the school. Every time I drive by and I see portables, I'm like, man, they got to get that right. So it sounds like you're trying to get it right.
Right, we are. And I'm glad you brought that up, because the student mindset is everything. How students feel. How the school district and teachers make students feel is everything. And people know my story. I had a teacher that made me feel pretty worthless when I was in school. Then I met another one that made me feel different, right? She made me feel like I could run the world. And so, we want to make sure that when our students walk into that facility, they feel like they are valued, right? And they have access. And I don't want them to walk into a facility and say, look at my campus, but the campus 10 minutes down the road has everything else that I don't see, that I wish I had. And so we want all of our children, no matter what your zip code is, to have access to a top-notch educational facility.
That sounds like Mike also.
Yeah, because if you can't make a living, you'll take a living.
Man, and I'm going to steal his line, the superintendent at HISD. He said, no longer will your zip code determine your outcome. He said, every student in HISD, and this is his tall challenge, by 2027, will be an A or B rated school.
Yes.
That's never been done. And to turn it from what it was, he said it was a total, I'm trying to think the right word he used, but I don't want to call it generational. Everything had to get flipped on its head, and it did. And he's done it. And he said, I knew there'd be pain, and here we are on the upside of it. I was just thrilled, absolutely thrilled. So, last, and I'll wind down here because I think I've covered a lot of the questions that have been thrown at me. Transparency and trust. We talk about that all the time when you get into an elected position in a city, a school district, wherever you're at. Everybody thinks you're hiding something. Everybody thinks you're not transparent. Now, most of them never come to a meeting. Most of them never email or call or text or anything.
Or watch the meetings.
Which is super easy. Most don't do that. Now, how can we, on the current spend of $1.5 billion, how can we, if there are resources, I know with our city, we have a little running chart of information for our CFP projects, and anybody can go there and they can say, hey, here's where they're at these projects. Does Lamar have any sort of I call it a CIP list, like where are they at on the 1.5 billion? And then with this project, where are they at? Do you have something like that?
Yes, sir. So it's all listed on our website. We have our financial transparency page on our website. But any information that's not there, all they have to do is email us, info@lcisd.org.
Okay.
And I mean to say it this way. And so I don't want a podcast, but I mean to say it this way. There ain't no secrets in the school business. And I mean to say ain't.
I would have said it that way.
Well, some people say he has a doctorate. He said ain't.
Right.
They're not secrets in the school business because we are all paying. I pay taxes to the Lamar CISD.
Sure.
And so we want to make sure people understand that we're being good stewards of their taxpayer dollars.
Well, I have enjoyed this, but I have one last fun question.
Okay.
Look, it's not even on all this because honestly, I think you've covered most of it. I have a fun one for you.
Okay.
We brought up AI. We brought up technology. We brought up hope for children and futures and earning a living wage. We brought all that up. What's something you see coming in education that this is non-bond subject? What do you see coming as a superintendent for our students to be excited about or to be prepared for? There's sort of a different feeling with both. I'm a huge fan of AI, but I also am terrified of it. Well, because I know job-wise how it could affect us, but man, it's making life a lot easier right now. And I can't imagine. So what's something fun or creative you see coming or maybe concerning that people should be prepared for?
Well, several things. Again, like I say, our job is to teach students how to use AI responsibly.
Yeah.
Right. Because if not, then, it can. So we're all one decision away from changing our lives forever.
Wow.
And if you use AI irresponsibly, that may be that decision where you didn't get that job, something happened, right, and it changed your life trajectory forever. One thing I am excited about is, in education, we have gone back to making sure students are able to leave and graduate with something in hand, with industry credentials.
Nice.
Right? Because we want students when they leave us to be able to go. If you choose to go to college, great. But if you don't, you can go work at a store, go work at Jiffy Lube. You can be a supervisory level, and you can make $80,000 right out of college. Right? I'm excited about that because our new CT center is going to help us give students those opportunities. What I'm scared about is the way society, the way we are treating each other. We're not very polite to each other. We're mean to each other. We say things that aren't true. and we're not held accountable to make sure those are factual and they're backed up.
Wow.
And I'm fearful that our students are seeing that because the adults are doing it, and they believe that's the appropriate way to respond.
Wow.
Right. And so I want our young people to know that it's okay to disagree. Right. You and I can disagree all day long, but you and I can still have a piece of chocolate cake at the end of that.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
I agree.
Right. We don't have to hate each other. We don't have to be disagreeable.
Right.
So the thing that makes me nervous or fearful about society in general is how the adults are behaving and our students are seeing that. And they're going to grow up and behave the same way. And our society is going to spiral.
Yeah.
I'm very concerned about that.
So I'm going to share, since you brought that up, I'll share one last thought. It happened the other day. I was speaking at a memorial, and there's 3 young people that got to speak ahead of me. I told them, I said, this is about the youth, not about me. And so they got up there and spoke, and I was encouraged by their positive view of tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And then I had this whole written out 3-minute speech, and I just turned it over. And I said, you know what, to all the young people here, I need to apologize. It goes along with what you just said. I need to apologize that we've left you with a nation so in debt that I don't know if you can recover. And I went through a series of apologies. And it was so healthy for those young people to hear someone that's 57 years old say, hey, I'm concerned by the way we have behaved and handed it off to you. But what I hear you saying is it's a concern and we're going to shape their outcomes by being aware of it. Like, I can't fix that national debt. I'll do the best I can at my level, but you are literally addressing that head on. And I'm so glad you acknowledge that, because we have not behaved well in front of our children every day.
Well, let me add to that, because, every generation,
wow.
I'm looking at kids now, they'll look at me like in my eyeballs, right? I mean, they're 15 years old. I'm like, man, this is a big kid.
Yeah.
But every generation becomes more and more talented.
They are.
Like, they can do anything. This generation, I've never seen so many young people so capable of doing anything.
Wow.
So I think they can recover. We just have to set them up. Like, somebody's like, this generation, they're going to figure out a way.
Yeah.
I just believe that in my bones. They're going to figure out a way to get us on track. We just have to set them up and give them the necessary tools to do that. That's all.
Thank you for being that superintendent. Thank you for having that mindset. I appreciate the insight here. And as reluctant as I am from time to time about bonds, I certainly understand how they work, because our city just passed $350 million in bonds that the people wanted. They want these projects done. The more you and I talk, the more I dug into 33 pages of what this is all about, the more it makes sense to me that it's what our kids need for tomorrow. And I can't thank you enough for being here. Now, for being on Howdy Fort Bend, I know I put your shirt over there, but I have a prop shirt here. For being on Howdy Fort Bend, I just want to say thank you.
This is fit on my arm.
Yeah, this will fit his arm. I just wanted to say thank you for being a part of the positive history of our community. And I know the school teachers love celebrating the start of every new year with you. I watch that, and I'm like, I don't think it's supposed to be that much fun.
Well, we work hard, we play hard.
Yeah, I see that.
Work hard and play hard, yeah. Well, I thank you for being the voice of reason and transparency, and allow me to be on the show. I appreciate that.
Hey, I enjoy it. Okay, folks, you've heard everything that I can offer you in about 25 minutes. You've seen his responses. You've heard numbers. You understand these projects a little bit better. All of this information is available online. You can scan this. You can find, they're all over the roads, for goodness sake. Go to LCISD's page. If you have a question, and more importantly, if they want to ask somebody a question, there are resources. Click on the email, make a phone call. No one is hiding anything. Transparency is apparent at LCISD, or we would not be sitting here right now.
That's right.
So
my trustees believe in that too. My trustees believe transparency is the key.
That's it.
Everything's on our website.
That's it. So I'm going to end with this. May God bless LCISD and what you're doing for our children. May God bless Fort Bend County, and God bless America.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, y'all.